So, hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast. On today's episode, I'm delighted to say I've got Dan Morgan joining me from Heart of the Holte and the Villa podcast. If you're new to our channel, subscribe. It'll be really appreciated. So, Dan, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Luke. Thanks for having me on. I've seen a few of your podcasts, and it's a unique take on what is a very great and busy podcast market in terms of Villa podcasts, mate. So thanks for having me on.
Great stuff. So obviously you host with Dan as well, the Villa podcast, and you're working alongside Heart of the Holte. So for anybody listening, just give us a bit of background info on everything that you guys do.
So basically, I joined Heart of the Holte. I want to say 2016, 2017. I was in sixth form, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I saw Heart of the Holte advertising for writers. So I thought, do you know what? I'll give this a go. I was doing A-level English Lit at the time, so I thought I may as well, try and practice some writing and stuff like that, and just kind of see what happens. And one thing's led to another. We've started the YouTube channel, we've started the podcast as a result of it, and we're here, I think, 3 years after starting the podcasts, and yeah, man, it's going well. It's good fun. Dan's a great guy, and it's hard running this kind of stuff with day-to-day life and stuff. But listen, I wouldn't change it for the world with what we've done, what we're doing, what we're hoping to do. It's all good fun, Luke.
I think it's brilliant, and I'm not just saying this because you're on my podcast today, but honestly, you guys are my favourite Villa podcast out of all of them.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
So obviously after the games, once I've finished doing my stuff, yours are the ones that I go to and listen, really. I just feel like with yours, you're both quite knowledgeable about football as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's not sort of very one trick. That's what you sort of do all the time. You've got an array of, I can't think what the word is, but, you tap into different things. And I think it keeps it pretty interesting because, like you said, there are a lot of Villa podcasts about. There seems to be like a new one every week, but I think it's nice for everybody to be quite unique and different. So it's not the same. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like yours is really engaging, and I think it's quality. So what are the future plans?
First of all, thank you very much. It's actually kind of weird hearing people like compliment the podcast because it's all digital, and especially like now because we've not been to games and stuff, and by no means am I ever saying that I've ever been recognised at a game, but there's been times where I've been walking to my seat and people have looked at me and thought he looks familiar. Now, I'm not saying it's not like an ego thing, but you can tell when someone knows who you are but you don't know who they are. So it's kind of, as I say, I really appreciate the kind words, Luke. It genuinely means the world. In terms of future-proofing the podcast, I think at the moment we're quite lucky. We tried to reinvent the podcast during the lockdown. I know you started yours during the lockdown. A lot of other podcasts have started up because people have got time. They want to speak about Villa, which is great. But as we've both kind of alluded to there, it's a packed market and it's hard to stand out. And listen, Dan knows so much more about football than I do. It's unreal, the amount of football manager knowledge. Dan watches a stupid amount of football. I think I watch a stupid amount of football, and so does my girlfriend and my family. But like Dan's at another level. So we try, we try to differentiate what we've done with the podcast, because if you look at stuff like Arsenal Fan TV with what they've done to blow up, it's all very explosive, it's reactive, and one, that's good for no one's health, and I don't like, it's not genuine. Like, no. I think the only time I'd ever, of course, when I'm at the game following Villa home and away, I'm energetic, I'm up, I'm screaming for every foul that we've not been given, or if we've missed an open goal, I'm the first one to be effing and jeffing and stuff, because that's what we're like when we're at the games. But we like to try and rationalize what we thought of and make sure that the product we're giving to you guys is worth it, because I don't see what people get other than a laugh when you watch an Arsenal fan TV or something like that. Like, you don't leave that 8 minutes of video going, I feel better about this, or
Yeah,
maybe I've learned something. So I think ultimately what we're trying to do is not like force our opinions on anyone, because of course that's quite bad, but just offer a different perspective, go a bit deeper, because anyone can say Target was crap today,
yeah,
Horahan's crap today. It's why, and I think that's what fascinates the both of us. And we're quite fortunate that we found each other through Heart of the Holte, and it's quite a funny story how Dan and I we actually go way back. With our parents knew each other when they were kids,
yeah.
and then we ended up becoming friends, and we didn't even know it until like a year and a half, 2 years ago, which is mental.
That's crazy.
Yeah, literally, it's crazy, man. Like, my mom and his dad worked together when they were like 18, 19. So, it's a small world,
Yeah.
and I'm really lucky to have Dan as a co-host, mate.
No, I think it's brilliant. Touching on Arsenal fan TV, that clip of that, I can't think what his name is, the bald guy from the other day.
DT, yeah,
So he was going mad, wasn't he? Saying like going on about Grealish, how good he was, and Arsenal can't get him or whatever. But I watched another Arsenal podcast the other day, and he comes across totally different. It
yeah,
wasn't Arsenal fan TV. I can't think what it was called either, but he was speaking for about 15 minutes, and I thought, God, like what you're saying here is like so true, but what you come across on that Arsenal fan TV is just a complete idiot. And there's
yeah,
such a difference between what they do, and I think it must be what they tell them to do on that
yeah,
Arsenal fan
100%.
TV. It's just all about like a massive, massive reaction, really. So let's talk about you and your journey as a Villa fan. So, what are your early memories? Going from your early memories to now. So how are you feeling now about Aston Villa?
It's quite funny actually, because my first game was 2004, I believe. It was Villa versus Portsmouth. We beat them 3-0, I think. And I don't remember this, but my mum reminds me all the time. It was around the time Harry Redknapp got done for tax evasion. So all the Villa fans were like chanting stuff like
Yeah,
"Don't bend over in the shower," that kind of stuff. And my mum was like, well, "We can't take him until he's older."
yeah,
But I mean, I went down a bit. But to be honest, when I was younger, like I didn't quite get it, and it was too loud for me. And I like fell back in love with like going to games and stuff at the age of 12 or 13. I've always liked watching football. I've always supported Villa. I've always watched on telly and stuff. But it's really since then where I fell in love with it in terms of going to games, especially going like away from home. I started going away. Probably around the time in sixth form, actually, where I was kind of old enough, had my own money. My first away trip was it was Fulham away, when Grealish scored that screamer. Do you remember that?
oh yeah,
We lost that game 3-1.
yeah,
But so yeah, like I love going down I go down with my dad. We're both season ticket holders. I know a lot of people go with mates and stuff. I like to save the away days for my mates.
yeah,
It's just one of them things. Like my dad obviously got me into it, so I've got to go with him. Like
yeah,
it's something that we do together. So I love it. And for the past few years, I've been up in Manchester doing university, but I've been home and away pretty much for the past 3 seasons. Most aways, every home. And yeah, man, I love it. Like it's. I think going back into the Championship as well. I just think we got our club back in the end. Like I've never felt so much closer to the club, and I don't know again whether that's down to the fact I've been going to like away games and stuff, and I've been experiencing different things. I've been meeting new people. Like Dan and I have gone to away games together as well, which is sick.
yeah.
And it's just a special club, mate. I don't need to tell you or any of the listeners how special Aston Villa Football Club is, because we all know. But there's just something so infectious about it, mate. And I'm in love with the club, and I can't wait to get back there.
So how you feeling about them now then? Because obviously we've all been on this massive journey, roller coaster, whatever you want to call it, drop into Championship and rebuilding. And when we got promoted, we all thought, right, we'd stay up, and it ended up being a lot more difficult than what any of us probably would have ever imagined. And then obviously what we went through with COVID and not going, and watching it on TV when you're so used to going every week. So how are you feeling now about us?
I'm in a fortunate position where there's a website who I write for that I'm like an accredited like Premier League and EFL journalist. So I was actually lucky enough to be at the Leeds game,
I did see
which
you
I
go,
think you
actually.
saw that. Yeah. So you know, I'm aware I'm in a very fortunate position there, but it's funny because if we go back to the playoff final. Uh, that season, I think that was the most away games I've done. One of the only ones I missed was Birmingham, and that was purely because it was a nightmare in terms of getting tickets. Everyone knows how hard it is for that one.
Yeah,
I had one in my basket and it went, but that's just how it goes. I think
yeah.
I think I'd missed 2 games, so I'd missed out on the top criteria, and that was the only one that was guaranteeing tickets. So I think at the time I was on like 7 aways, but it was 9 aways. I think that were like you were sure of getting a ticket if you got one within the allotted period. But like from going home and away to all them the 10 games in a row, it was amazing. The heartache of going to Wembley, a year after the loss and being there. It was my dad's birthday as well. So we'd lost the year before on his birthday, and we managed to
Oh,
win
not
the
really.
following year on his birthday, and it was just something really special to share with him and with everyone. Like, it's just one of them days that I'll think about forever in terms of supporting Aston Villa. I think a lot of other fans may disagree, and there may be another game that sticks out. But I think obviously I'm only 21, so there aren't we've not had too many great times during my time supporting the club. But no, so immediately after that, I'm on this massive like high in terms of Aston Villa, and I actually went away for the summer to work as a lifeguard in Orlando, and very quickly kind of became, I don't want to say detached from the club, but not being in the country, not being around my friends, being in a completely new place. It was difficult, especially because my time in America overlapped with the season starting. So I missed the game that everyone talks about that night under lights against Everton.
Yeah.
I didn't see that Douglas Luiz goal against Bournemouth. I wasn't there for the Anwar El Ghazi goal late on to win the Everton game. I came back and my first game was the West Ham game, and it was like I'd never been gone. It was brilliant. Villa were crap, but we should have won that game. So the 10 men, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we should have won that.
We should have won that one. So my dad was telling me that I was the bad luck and to go 4,000 miles away again, so Villa could win a few games. But no, I think last season was really tough, and I thought it would be difficult. I didn't think it would be that difficult.
No,
I know a lot of people before the season were like, we're finishing 8th, we're finishing 6th. I was
yeah.
never that guy. But all that matters, Luke, is that we managed to stay up in it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that we weren't there. And never did I think that night, after getting destroyed 4-0 at the King Power, I never thought on my train back up to Sheffield to my girlfriend's. I didn't think that's the last game of football I'd be attending for 8 months. I don't know about you, mate.
Game, I sat on the 3rd row in the pouring
Oh,
rain.
no way.
No cover. Literally, I came out like I'd had a shower for 90 minutes, and it was just the worst. So that was like such a terrible game to sign off on.
It really was.
So literally, that's the last game I've ever been to, and now we're 6th in the league. So,
which is mental, isn't it?
To get your head around that is like literally crazy. So it's just crazy. So let's just touch on Grealish and England now. So I ask you two sort of questions. How good is Jack Grealish, and how good can he be? Can he get any better than what he is? And what are your thoughts on England at the minute? So we've got Euros 2021 next summer. Where do you feel England are, and what do we need to do to sort of get better, basically?
Sack Southgate is the short answer. We'll talk about Grealish first, though, Luke. And listen, we're watching a man who is genuinely world class, and I will fight anyone on that. We have one of the most unique and talented players in world football. I'm going to put you on the spot, Luke, now,
Yeah.
and tell me a player who is as good or better than Grealish, that plays in the same way as Grealish, who
Yeah.
guides with the ball like Grealish, who is so abnormally strong and conditioned to take these tackles
Yeah.
like Grealish is, and who's got as much flair as Grealish. Like
There is
there
no
isn't
one.
anyone.
No.
There isn't, and we genuinely have one of the most unique footballers, certainly of my lifetime, and I genuinely think the sky's the limit. I know a lot of people were like, when it was kind of rumored that he was going, there was people that were like, obviously I don't want him to leave, but if he leaves, I hope he does for the betterment of his career.
Yeah.
I was one of them people because no player's bigger than the club, but Jack Grealish is just something else. And as much as I want him to stay at Villa forever, and this isn't me trying to talk up and move him away or anything like that, because I'd be the first one to get the lifetime contract out. Luke, don't you worry about that. Is he deserves the world, and I just hope, and I think we're seeing it. I just hope Villa can match that ambition, because there's so many players that probably look back on their career and go, "Oh, what if I'd have made that move to Tottenham? What if I'd have gone to Manchester City?" You've got to look at a player like Wesley Sneijder. Like, he could have achieved so much more in the game, and I think he's fairly happy with what he did achieve. But look, he's a really frustrating player because he could have genuinely been one of the best 10s in the world. And I just hope that there's never a single ounce of regret in Jack's career, whether that's him regretting leaving Villa, regretting staying. I'm on the Jack Grealish bandwagon forever. If he goes and joins Barcelona, you bet I'm getting the shirt with the name on the back. I'm going to be at the Camp Nou. I'm going to be there cheering him on because he deserves that, man. Like, he's so good, and he deserves the world. And he's one of us as well, Luke. He's a Brummie. He's come through the academy, and you don't get it unless you have that kind of player.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't. Like, I've got mates who are Man City fans, and they're like, "Oh, Grealish, blah, blah, blah." And then Phil Foden comes on the scene, and he's like all of a sudden the best thing in the world. And then they realise how important it is to have someone who represents you as the people, your town. There's so much media bias towards the London clubs, whatever. Aston Villa's gargantuan, and Birmingham is a fine city that is due a lot more respect than it ever gets. Yeah. And Jack Grealish is a man who is, helping our footballing name in the Midlands, and also, the place, because we have beautiful accents here, and I think people are warming to Jack. So but on England, kind of disenfranchised with him, Luke, to be honest. I said on our latest podcast, to be honest, if he didn't start Grealish, I don't even think I'd have been that bothered, because we're seeing so many players get positive COVID results, getting injured, stuff like that. If Jack Grealish gets injured, we're genuinely we're up shit's creek without a paddle. We are so much more than Jack Grealish now, but he's still so important to how we play. So if anything were to happen to him, and touch wood that nothing does, I think we'd be in big trouble. But I think in terms of watching England, I think everyone for the Euro 2016, Southgate has had a lot of goodwill coming out of that tournament, and he's seemingly thrown it all away because he's got his favourites. And I understand every manager has their favourites. That's always how it's going to work. But when you're not picking statistically the second best player last season and the top player actually in Europe this season to play for you, then you've got to give your head a wobble, man. And he's picking six right backs and no left backs. And I know people are memeing it and stuff, but it's like he doesn't know what he's doing. He got Middlesbrough relegated. He's been appointed the job because he's a yes man. I actually thought when he was asked about the Greg Clark comments as well, that his response was quite disgraceful, saying that his job was just to stick to football. I think he could have definitely answered that a bit better. That's a whole other issue, obviously. But Southgate ain't the man. If England are to have any success next summer, Arsene Wenger is who they need to get, mate.
Mate, it'd be quality. One thing I want to touch on, what a commentator said last night, was basically that England have been working really hard this week trying to get Sancho fit. And I'm just like, what? Like Sancho's
Yeah.
there to get fit, so Sancho starts that game, and I'm just like, it's just a joke. It's a bit like what you said. It's like he's got his favourites and he'll stick by them. A little bit like Lingard, sort of how he
Oh God, yeah.
around camp after camp. And I feel like now, you've got sort of like Sancho, Sterling. They're like undroppable for him, aren't they? If
Yeah.
both of them are fit next summer, Grealish doesn't start, in my opinion. I don't. It doesn't matter how good Grealish is. I just feel like he won't start Grealish if
No.
them two are fit. Like you
It's
say, that's just it's just going to be a nightmare. Like even yesterday, I thought Jack played all right yesterday, but you can tell he's being told to do something a bit different to what he would normally do. I noticed
yeah.
yesterday that it was, to me, it was all about Jack's defensive and positional play yesterday, rather than a little bit more of like a free flowing sort of vibe that he normally has. So even that, I think it's just not going to suit Jack's game as well. To be fair,
No,
um,
it's the frustrating thing is, and this is something that again me and Dan mentioned yesterday on the pod was you who plays 3-4-3 against Ireland? Who does that? Like
didn't he do
who?
that again? Who didn't he do that the last game or the game before?
It was more of a 3-5-2 against Wales, I think. Grealish had more of a free role, but he played Ings and Calvert-Lewin up front. But again, if you look at that goal that Calvert-Lewin scored,
Yeah,
the cross comes from Grealish on the right, and he did swap with Sancho a fair bit yesterday. Not
yeah,
as much as I'd have liked, but it's having that unpredictable player that can occupy a position anywhere and create a scoring chance. He set up Sancho last night on the left. He set up Dominic Calvert-Lewin the game before on the right, and he could have had one or two more goals and assists last night himself as well. I'm thinking the substitution probably lends itself to him playing, but against Belgium on Sunday. But obviously, in terms of him playing again, it's because Rashford's got COVID.
yeah,
It's so frustrating, and the message that sends to everyone else is no matter how good you are, unless I like you, you're not going to play.
yeah,
And for someone like Jude Bellingham, if he misplaced a pass yesterday when he came on,
yeah,
that could have, that's potentially his England career over before it's even started. Or if he, answers back or whatever. I think the thing is, and I think that there was an alleged bust up in the under 23s between Jack and Southgate, which had been resolved.
yeah,
I say alleged because, we legal reasons, so we don't get sued, Luke.
yeah,
But he performed there. In 5 games, he scored 2 goals, assisted 3 for Southgate. And there was so much deliberation to get him to play that, choose England over Ireland, please do. And then he has to wait 5 years before he gets his chance for England.
yeah,
Which I understand to a certain extent because we all know how good Grealish has been, but this is another level, and it warrants the minutes internationally. But you sometimes with a player like Jack Grealish, if there is a personal issue, and I say if,
yeah,
then you have to put that aside, and you have to be the bigger man, and you have to put your ego aside for the betterment of the squad, for the nation. Because if England are going to have any chance of winning anything in the summer, it's going to be because we have Jack Grealish.
yeah,
You've got
definitely.
players like Kevin De Bruyne waxing lyrical about
Yeah,
him. Saka said in an interview before the game that they spent the whole week watching clips of Grealish, and
yeah.
Arsenal still couldn't stop him.
I know.
Like even Mason Mount said Jack Grealish is world class.
Yeah,
So when you've got your own players telling you that, surely you've got no clue.
yeah. I know, mate. It's just a
I
joke.
can't believe it.
Yeah, neither can I. And do you know what? I can't even believe. I know he's been a bit injured as well, but Madison's not hardly ever, never near the squad either, which is weird.
That's
Um,
another personality thing though. Southgate can't. And I'm by no means saying Jack's not a nice person or anything like that, but there's a swagger to Jack, and he's a very nice guy. He's a confident guy, and he says things as they are, which is an amazing quality. And Jack Grealish as a person, as far as I'm aware, is one of the nicest blokes in football. But Gareth can't control that.
no,
I saw something that Lee Hendry said the other day about his time at Villa, and we all know what kind of a character Lee Hendry is. him and Southgate couldn't be more further apart. But he was saying that they'd be out for parties, they'd be having drinks, they'd be doing stuff, and Gareth wouldn't even look at them the next day. And listen, if you want to have a good career and you're going to take yourself seriously, I've got a lot of time for that. But you can't punish someone like Jack, especially when he's cleaned up his act so much as well. Like we all know Grealish was a bit of a party lad in when he was 16, 17, 18. That ain't him anymore. Like it. And Maddison is that same kind of character. He comes across as a proper nice guy, like the kind of guy you'd want to go on the piss with. Like you want him in your pub crawl team. Like he just seems like one of the lads. Great banter. But since he was spotted in that casino and stuff, and again, I reckon it's just like I don't think he can control the personality. And it sounds weird I'm saying that, but there's ways of managing players, and I think players like Jack and Maddison, you just kind of got to put your arm around them and be like, I believe in you. You do you, because if you're gonna try and subdue them, you're not going to get the best out of them, are you?
Definitely not. So we're going to finish on like a little quick fire round. So literally 1-word answers. I want to know what are sort of like your favourite and best moments. Okay, so first one's going to be your favourite Villa player of all time.
I know you said quick fire, but wow. I'm going to have to say Gabriel Bonlahor for now.
Okay. What's your best Villa moment as a fan?
Rotherham away.
Your favourite ground apart from Villa's?
I really like... what's Preston's ground? Can't remember the name of it now, but I've been there about 4 or 5 times. I think it's a really nice away day.
What's it? Not Deepdale. No,
Deepdale. That's it. Yeah, Deepdale.
Yeah, that's a decent ground. Your favourite Villa kit of all time?
Luke Roper home kit.
Okay. Signing of the window just gone.
Emi Martinez.
That's a good shout. Because do you know what? A lot of people would say that, but he's going to be longevity. And finally, where are Villa going to finish this season?
Anywhere from 9th upwards.
I think I'd agree. At the start of the season, I was sort of saying 12th to 10th, something like that. So I'd say we bang on track for that, really.
I'd hope so.
Definitely. Anyway, Dan, it's been great chatting to you. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.